if someone came up to you and said, "Do you think music would run out?" At first, you'd probably say, "Well, no, obviously not." But then if you look at it, music isn't infinite, so music possibly could be limited. Let's get into a bit more detail about this. Music has been around for a very long time now, and over that time, the amount of instruments have not only increased, but the amount of musicians as well. And with this, new sounds have been made, new melodies are always being made, and new music is being made. But how much of this music is actually new? Let's take a piano for example. A piano consists of 88 keys. This ranges from the lowest to the highest frequency notes a musician would ever wish to play. Now let's look at an octave. You could arguably play any song you wanted on a single octave. A single octave consists of 7 natural keys and 5 flat/sharp keys, so 12 in total. If you were to play 4 random notes from an octave, there's a maximum of 20,736 melodies you can play, and that includes all the ones that sound terrible. At first you might say, that seems okay, but if you compare it to the current estimation of songs that are in existence, which is around 70 million, that means for each of the 20,736 melodies, each one is actually repeated over 3,000 times. To look at this a bit further, I started asking some people who know a lot more than I do.
I feel music these days is more manufactured, and some of these programs we have on TV, such as the X Factor and so on and so forth, are helping not at all in terms of live music. You find in singers they're all sounding the same. You can put one music track on and then the next, and they're all sounding very repetitive and the same. And whilst that's what the young generation may want now, and that's fine, because change is change, it cannot be said to match the quality of music of yesteryear. No way. And the worry is, will it finally die out? Now, hopefully, it won't, because there are still a lot of live music producers out there making guitars and drum sets and so on, who are still selling an awful lot of equipment worldwide. So hopefully this is just a trend, and we'll get through the trend, and music will continue. I remember a question I got when I was at school started to show an interest in music, and it was the head teacher at the time, and he said to me, "Are you not wasting your time? Will music ever not run out? So shouldn't your talents be used somewhere else?" And what I said to him, I says, well, here we are in the mid-60s, let's say mid-60s, and I said, we still listen to music that was created in the 18th and 19th centuries. You know, German composers, British composers, we still listen to that music, classical music, fantastic stuff. And then that has never died out, and it'll still continue. And in terms of electric music, music created in the 60s, that's still continuing in different guises. And if you take one of the amazing things that happened, that head teacher once said to me, he says, if you want to pursue music, and he's the one who invited us to play on that Christmas party, he says, why don't you consider taking some old classical music and modernising it? And of course, being young 15-year-olds, we just laughed at him. And it wasn't many years later than one of the biggest bands ever to grace this earth, Queen, did exactly that. They made rock music history by taking modern guitars, modern electric music, and putting a modern slant on some very, very old classical music tunes. And quite frankly, I wish I had listened to the headmaster. But, so will music ever die? No. Music in some shape or form will always continue. And the reason I say that, you go into any town centre, take a beatbox, It's a live music play into that town centre, put some music on, and you watch people gather round, and you watch them even start to move and dance. You'll never kill music; it'll always be there.
I think genres have changed just because times have changed, technology's got better, understanding's got better. It's, in a sense, more accessible, so now anyone can contribute to music, and you might be some kid in a bedroom and you make a song that completely changes the course of music. Like, if you look at things like future bass, or even like EDM house and stuff, it's mostly kids in their bedroom. Like, back in the day, you couldn't do that. You needed a studio, you needed instruments, you needed engineers. But now, like, a kid can have a crazy idea and do it in his room. So I think that's what's affecting the genre. I think that's why it's different 50 years now to 50 years ago. I don't think it's that music ideas have run out. I think it's quite the opposite. I think now so many ideas are being added into music because music's more accessible, that it's changed, like genres pretty much don't really exist anymore. Because you've got a pop song and it's very rocky or very hip-hoppy. You got a hip-hop song and you got like world-class singers on it. You know, this is all thanks to how accessible it is. So I think that's why genres are changing. That's why it's different now to 50 years ago, because it's just far more accessible. Anyone can contribute. You know, you can't really write anyone off. Some kid can just put a song together, put it on SoundCloud, and you never know who's going to hear it. And then that can change the course of music and how it sounds. Is music limited, and could it run out one day based on melodies and stuff? I'm going to say yes and no. Now, here's the reason. I feel like a lot of music is just based on the intonation and how it makes you feel. So, sure, you've got a melody that's like 3 notes, and someone else could do the exact same melody as you, but their intonation could be totally different, and it could make it sound totally different. And you also have to take into account the instrument. Like, if you play 3 notes on the piano, it's going to sound completely different texturally to if you played it on a violin. So if the intonation is different and the texture is different and the way it's played is different, and you vary the length of the notes and the velocity, it'll sound like something completely new. So on paper the notes are the same, but the music is completely different. And when we're talking about music running out, I feel like by the time that does happen, because it's maths, eventually it probably will run out. I could argue you can just keep stacking melodies on top of each other, but then it's not really realistic, because then you'll have like hour-long melodies and no one's going to sit there and listen to it. But if we're talking about within the realm of like 3 to 5 minute songs, mathematically it's bound to run out at some point. But at that point, it probably won't matter, because the music that came before it will have either been forgotten or disregarded because someone has done something they feel better. Like, if you look at Michael Jackson, someone could do the Billie Jean melody again completely differently, but it'll probably never be as big as Michael Jackson's. Like, 100 people could do the same melody, but all it takes is that one person to come along and do it like so originally that they forget about everyone else's. The world forgets about all the other melodies that were done like it before. You know, I imagine someone played some of the motifs from Billie Jean before, but they weren't Billie Jean. So yeah, music mathematically, if we're talking about within the realm of like notation and limiting it to, you know, sensible times, it probably will run out one day, but I reckon it will never matter. By the time that happens, what came before it will be forgotten, or it wouldn't have been good enough anyway to overshadow what is now being done. So yeah. And also, again, it comes back to the instrument, the intonation, the texture, how it's played. You give me a melody, I resample it, add effects. Someone else takes what I've done, resamples that and adds effects. Keep doing that, and now you've got something completely new. The notation's the same, everything's technically the same, it's just changed hands with people and they've done their own thing with it, and now it sounds completely different. And that's the beauty of sampling and stuff, especially in genres like hip-hop.
If I would add one thing at the end, I mean, my particular career, I've been lucky. I'm not a professional musician in the sense that it has never been my living. I started when I was very young. At the time, you will get a lot of knockbacks, And it's no different now. You may want to pick an instrument, you may want to create music on your computer. And if you have that urge, and I would say do it. Don't be put off, just do it. You'll get a lot of contentment out of it. You may want to attempt to write your own stuff. Don't be put off, try it. You may think, oh, I need a singer behind this track. Try singing yourself, it's amazing. So all I can say is if you want to make music, you're inclined, just do it and don't let anybody try to put you off. Follow your goal.